What is going on, Duckers? Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Decoy Voice live podcast, live stream, whatever it is. But I'm glad to see everybody here, especially a lot of people from the Decoy squad. Like, what do we got? Rockhouse, Big Up Video, Drew Mao, William Cortez, Rod Fluffer, William McComb, longtime viewer but the moderator, Captain Obvious. I think I saw William Cortez, NG. Captain DN, I think I'm saying names over again, but I'm glad that you guys are all over here, like the division agent, moderator, been here for a long time. And I think a lot of you guys with the like VMore28, a lot of you guys that have been subscribed for a long time. You have the red decoy duckling emoji. It's about to go to that Deagle duck. I forget what we're gonna call it, but I mean, yeah, there's a lot of very loyal subscribers, so it's good to see you. Good to see you all here. Good to see you. Limited access. I'm glad that you guys are all tuning into today's episode because it is a little bit more on the serious side. I mean, we're gonna touch on something that is very tragic that's happening in the country right now, and there is a bit of what would you call it? The conspiratorial aspect to this. But there is a lot of actual, like, American suffering. So we want to try to cover it as respectively as we possibly can because this is happening. But I'll also, I want to dig into the more suspect stuff about, like, what we're going to see today. All the aid that we're trying to present to Americans, and yet for some reason they're not receiving it immediately. It's very, very suspicious to say the least, but we also want to be respectful, and I'm also going to cover all the super chats at the very end of the live stream. Anything 20 and above, we'll cover it right as it comes in, but I mean, we'll cover it all at the end when we're having more of the conversation with chat, but I'm glad to see you guys here. So if you haven't already, before we get into the bulk of the video, try to or consider becoming a channel member. It's just $2 a month. It really helps out the channel, especially when we got a large audience like what we have right now with, what is it, like almost 600 people watching live, but also, what is it, 386,000 subscribers, which is just an absolutely bonkers number in my opinion. But I mean, it's great to see you all here, and if you guys all support it, we could have definitely a different situation other than me recording these videos and broadcasting live from my tiny apartment and from my kitchen. Not to say that I'm upset that I have an apartment over here. It's actually, I guess I should be grateful for what I have, but I mean, hopefully we can get you guys to support the channel. It's only $2 a month. You can have a Decoy Elite or Decoy Commander. It's a premium membership, but it also gives you access in the community tab to a discount over at the decoyvoice.com, the shop. It gets you access to cool things like the, what is it? The tinfoil beanie we got going on over here. It's pretty cool, and I'm also going to update the store probably this week, so it'll be cool to see that. But I mean, we got to get the tinfoil beanie on right now because we're going to cover some pretty serious stuff going on. But I mean, obviously, if you guys have your tinfoil beanie, be sure to throw it on right now because I recently covered this video. It got, 200,000 views, which is good to see all the people seeing what's happening over there because we also put in the donation links to the Maui Wildfire Relief Fundraiser from GoFundMe, the Maui Food Bank, which is just mauifoodbank.org, and also the Maui Humane Society wish list that was on Amazon for people to supply things like food, but I guess most importantly, it was crates because there's lots of like animals got loose and they just don't have anywhere to put them, and because it's Hawaii, everything is just grossly inflated with the prices, so it's very expensive, but hopefully they can get it out there as quickly as possible because I'm starting to be a little bit hesitant to donate because obviously this didn't get the most views and I don't have the best conversion rates on YouTube as far as advertisements are, but it's not a big deal. I'm perfectly fine with where we are with the channel, but the idea is I was going to take the money that we made off this video and all the super chats I got for this particular video and just go out there and just buy a whole bunch of supplies for the animals over in Hawaii, but now I'm a little bit curious because yes, there are conspiracy theories coming out, tinfoil hat theories coming out about what's happening in Maui right now, where you see this video, and I believe that this is one of those things that came out afterwards that really gives us insight as to what happened over in Hawaii, where this fire broke out, and it likely was the electric company or the power lines going down causing a small fire. And from what we've seen from online chatter was the fire department thought they had it under control, didn't put out the emergency, this is what I'm hearing hearsay, but didn't put out the emergency warning saying, hey, everybody needs to evacuate, and that's why it got this bad, where I think during this video they said it was 36 deaths, but that's climbed up to 96, I believe, but also there's over 1,500 missing. So I imagine the death toll is only going to rise over time, and they possibly could be slow walking it, because apparently this isn't the biggest deal. This isn't the biggest concern for the American government, and it's a travesty. So this video, I believe, is valid and likely the beginning of the wildfires the day before. Heavy winds from Hurricane Dora, which apparently even the experts didn't believe that this was going to cause it to spread so fast. But I mean, obviously, trusting the experts is not something that a lot of Americans are subscribing to right now. But then you saw stuff like this, where I believe this Derek Bros account is satire. I think it is, because I saw Derek Bros is always putting more outlandish tinfoil hat theory type stuff, and I believe it was CPK News or CBK News or something, where they seemed a bit out there. No, it was actually not CBK News. It was Terror Alarm, where Terror Alarm would post, breaking news on Twitter, but always have a very die-hard liberal take on things. And eventually you just realize, oh no, they're just trolling us. This is like some conservative guy in their basement posting all these things, almost cosplaying as a concerned liberal online. And I think this is it. But when this video came out, it got traction, because before it had the Twitter or X community notes, it had 1.7 million views. And they were saying, hey, look at this wildfire, what they were trying to frame as this was in Maui, and see how it's crawling across the pavement. And they were very concerned about this, because it looks bizarre. And it would be very concerning, but unless you're from the islands, you probably wouldn't realize that those... Yeah, that guy's wearing like a Hawaiian shirt, and you can't see any of the license plates. But this is not Hawaii, where the community note said this footage is from the flats in downtown Cleveland, Ohio, June 2022. Fire investigators say it was a fire that started in a mulch bed, and the strong winds caused the flames and embers to spread to other mulch beds. So what you're seeing is it's not crawling across the concrete; it's just like topsoil that's moving across. That's why it's burning over there. But that's why I think it's important for us to talk about this stuff. Now, is it insensitive to have a tinfoil hat while we have Americans suffering currently? Yes, but I think it's important to be able to talk about this stuff so we can disprove a lot of it. Because like we said with the doses and everybody making sure that, you gotta protect your neighbor by making sure you get a dose that doesn't protect you, but very bizarre stuff. But the idea that we had to talk about what was happening with international soccer, people collapsing on the field, that was a thing, and comparing it to I forgot which tennis open it was, like the Australian Open or something, and how people were collapsing, but it wasn't necessarily because of the doses. That's why it's good to talk about it. So getting into what's happening over there, like I feel bad wearing that. Maybe I'll wear, no, this just looks ridiculous and just terrible. But the idea that over in Maui, the video footage that we're seeing, I can't play all of it, because when I posted the video, it was like the day of. Oh, thank you very much for Eric Bourlet for joining the Decoy Elite. Really appreciate that. But when I first did my video, not all the video footage has come out, and now we've seen some horrific stuff, like when they're walking around the streets, you see the charred remains of a dog, and you don't know how he ended up there or she ended up there and how they were fleeing, but just horrendous stuff. So we're going to carefully comb through a lot of this video footage, because as we saw in the news report of the on this video, where people said they had to escape the embers, they felt like their skin was being burned just from the smoke, so they had to jump in the ocean. And you think, okay, yeah, at night jumping in the ocean is going to be scary, but it actually was likely much more terrifying than we know, because look, this is during daylight hours and they're just stranded out there. And it's like, see embers in the sky, and it's hard enough to be in the water and think about, when you go to the beach and you're having fun out there. This is not that. You're running for your life. You're seeing all your worldly belongings being burned up in flames, possibly loved ones and animals and pets, and now you're stranded in the ocean with no rescue in sight. It's just terrifying. Thank you for the super chat, Zamin, saying, keep up the great work, man. Your videos are great. I really appreciate that. Thanks for coming by, and I dig the Shredder profile picture. I appreciate that. I just see this over here, and also just how they were just barely surviving in the water. It's insane.
You're gonna be okay, Milo. Milo, your mask is dirty. It's better. Holy. Wash it? Yeah, just wash it. That's gonna be crazy.
They were likely out there for hours. I see, what is it? Rapunzel says, if it's a hurricane, where was the rain? Apparently the hurricane door was far enough away from the island, they knew that it wasn't going to impact it, but apparently the winds is what picked up the warm winds is what picked up the fire and pushed it around the island so fast, and that's why they were caught so flat-footed with it. Because you see this stuff over here. Now, Derek Rose, again, I don't know, but they're saying this is the video footage of the island. I can't play the entire video because the likelihood of charred remains being in the background of some of these things. Oh, appreciate that, Sean 2444 with the super chat saying, just give someone a tinfoil beanie. I would like to do that, but I wonder if I should do that by the mailing list or what the legality is. Is that gambling? I don't know, but I'll figure it out. But I appreciate that. I will give somebody a tinfoil beanie. Thank you for the super chat, Sean 2444. But you see this over here, Lahaina Island in Hawaii, West Maui. This is
okay,
just
guys.
awful.
It's Friday, August 11th, 2023, and I'm walking around Lahaina a couple days after this catastrophic fire, and you can see there's X's in front of hundreds of houses here.
And that's a bit all I'm willing to play, because as they get closer to vehicles, you could likely see inside them, and you don't know what you're looking at, because now people are getting more on the tinfoil hat side of things, where they're wondering, why did this occur the way it did? Why is it primarily hitting the locals that have lived there forever, and all the, multi-million-dollar mansions owned by Oprah Winfrey, and I forget who else is over there, but why is it specifically this? And they're just very concerned, is what I'll say.
Can anyone truly explain how cars are incinerated in this type of way? That a natural fire can literally cremate every single thing.
And they're gonna get too close to the cars, so it's scary, because those are the people that jumped in the ocean and had the vehicles left behind. But I guess in the comments, like the chat, let me know, do you believe this is something that can be? Because obviously I'm no fire expert, I'm no firefighter, I don't know what temperature rubber tires will burn at. What do you think? So Division Agent says high winds makes the fire hot. They think it's a land grab, and we will talk about that a bit further. NPC I'm Not says electric fires burn hotter, which makes sense. People say energy weapon, and we will talk about that in a bit. Yes, it's possible. So yes, okay. So people are concerned, but now this is what I'm most concerned about, because this wasn't just the one video. Listen to what they're saying about the support, and I think I saw people talking about $300,000 donated from Metallica, which is amazing. Great on them, and it's always a heartwarming moment to see, Americans helping Americans, or people helping people. But you look at this, and it's enraging.
Maui strong. Donation on donations. If you guys don't know, the government withholding every single one of our donations because we are not a part of FEMA and Red Cross.
Huh, interesting how the idea that we'll talk about it in a bit, where you can they're giving some sort of relief, they're cutting checks to people that are affected by these fires right now, but they're not saying in the way of saying, okay, all your federal or state income tax or whatever taxes you're paying, we're just going to waive that right now. they're saying, oh, we're going to cut you a one-time check, because it's not a thing of saying we don't want to help these people. They just want to help them through the guise of the government doing it. So they're saying with FEMA or with the Red Cross, then they can get the supplies, but it has to go through the government agencies first. This is very concerning, to say the least.
So none of this is eligible for giving out. Tell me why. I have no freaking clue. But Maui, we out here, Lahaina, we trying to help you guys, bro, but they not letting us. But we're gonna keep pumping. All this stuff gonna get there, bro. 5 containers are behind the Ritz. Carlton, if you can get there and you really need the stuff, crack that lock. That's for you guys. That's for you guys. Spread the word. Lahaina behind the Ritz, 5 containers full of stuff.
And here's the thing is, that's a great thing they're doing, and he's saying, hey, if you can figure out a way to logistically to get it over there, it's your belongings. He's not trying to say this is like, you know, this is quid pro quo. This is just, hey, we're trying to help people. We're on, where is he? Yeah, what island he's from. But the idea is they want to give them the supplies, but apparently they're being blocked from humanitarian aid. And it's not just, I don't know who this person is. Could be a person posting a video from Florida for all we know, but I for one believe him what he's saying. But now you're having someone that is Kai Lenny, one of the world's best big wave surfers, and a resident of Maui. He's also echoing that same sentiment.
Aloha, everyone. I'm really grateful to the Maui community and everyone around the world for showing up and supporting our island, especially in this time of absolute tragedy. Right now, something big is happening. We've been trying to get insulin flown in from Kona over to Kapalua, but our flights are being blocked by the Department of Health because it wasn't approved by them.
Which is, again, saying we want to give them support, but only if it's somehow coming through the government. It's got to go through them first. Very bizarre to think about that, but also the idea that something like insulin, like I remember when we were talking about the not the logistics line, the trucking routes or whatever, when back in California a while ago, where the entire transportation line, chat, what was it when they say the flow of goods coming to the country that was being blocked? What was that? It was something that, I forget what it was, but it was the idea that we couldn't find the supply chain. Thank you, super nerd. The supply chain was being blocked, and people couldn't get toilet paper for a long time. They couldn't get Lysol wipes, and they couldn't get just daily supplies for themselves. And it was a thing of, that was freaking people out. But wait until you have hundreds of thousands of Americans in any one of these cities, all desperate to get insulin for their children, for themselves, for anybody that needs it. And the idea where if they don't have it, they will pass away in the very near future. And the idea that you have somebody that is a public figure in Hawaii saying we have a life-saving medical supply for the residents that are impacted by this hurricane and wildfire, and the Department of Health is saying, you know what, you can't have it. You can't have it because we need to touch it first. What?
And right now, there's a lot of people that need their medical needs met. Specifically, we need prescription medications. People are suffering over there, and there is no government official from the local county level to the state, even federally. We have no support.
And we'll talk about that a bit further, because you saw in the thumbnail where Biden currently is on vacation again, which apparently he spent like 40% of his presidency on vacation, despite the fact that they used to cry whenever Donald Trump played golf. But the idea that there is nothing going on over there right now. And it's actually kind of scary when the local Hawaiian politicians do speak up, because it's almost confirming the tinfoil hat theories that a lot of people have.
Making it more difficult for us to try to help our Ohanas, our families, and our friends that are in need of us. So we've been going by jet ski, by boat, and soon they're going to be stopping that. And we're doing whatever we can to help, but we're very limited because we're basically being stopped by our own government. And right now we're trying our best to keep pushing through. I encourage everyone to keep on helping. Everyone here on Maui, thank you for your kokua and for keeping everyone in your thoughts and hearts and doing whatever it takes. We're gonna not stop until we are able to help every single person that has suffered this horrific ordeal. And
which is great that everybody's coming together over there, but also very, very concerning because more people are coming forward and saying, hey, they're being turned away by the military. But look at what this guy is saying right here. And thank you, Daniel Bayer, for joining the Decoy Squad. I'll also cover all of the super chats at the end of the live stream. But this just comes across like a tinfoil hat theory. What this guy's he's gonna cover on his, I believe this is a Instagram or maybe TikTok, I don't know. But this seems conspiratorial, but we're going to dig into it more because it does get confirmed in one way or another. Terrifying to think about.
So today we're going to talk about some updates on the Hawaiian fire situation. Now I want you to look at this guy's page, go to his Instagram and follow him. He's talking about how people are trying to bring in supplies such as water, food, and gas, and they are being turned away.
Yes, we've heard
that. The military is turning away people from helping, and he was talking about this on his page. Now, if we take it a step further, the governor was asked, why didn't the system go off when the fires were happening? And he was basically saying it must have been a malfunction. But what's interesting is a person commented, the siren sounds went off when there was no tsunami, but the sound when an actual burning fire disaster, it doesn't occur.
I remember not too long ago when Hawaii sent out the warning telling all their residents that a nuclear missile had been launched towards the island, so get to shelter, and it was causing a lot of people to panic over there. But the idea that yes, they have a lot of malfunctions that seem to set off their national emergency warning, but not when something is genuinely occurring.
What's also interesting about the governor was he passed this executive order just before this in July, which could take away the land from the people based on if they need to rezone. There's also a lady who has mentioned how the Red Cross has had hundreds of millions of donations from all these celebrities, but they don't have any security, and they're having to move the people out who have lost everything. So then we look at this lady's work, and we can see that this looks like a land grab. If all of these politicians and celebrities really cared, why aren't they talking about this legislation? This legislation was something that was proposed on January 5th of 2023. Of 51 acres in the same area of the fire would be turned into a housing project.
Huh.
Interesting. Now, what's also interesting is this follows the Agenda 2030 plan as well. So we really have to ask, was this just what the media reported or something planned?
Something nefarious. Now, again, this seems very tinfoil hat theory, and I would normally just take this and just kind of dismiss it. Yeah, maybe I'll check out the news articles that he compiled there, and just maybe there was something to it. But the more you dug into it, the crazier it got. Like, you got to see these 3 videos where they talk about land grabbers. While the bodies are still smoldering, they're already trying to move in. Thank you, Chris Blah Blah, for joining the Decoy Squad.
Okay, I gotta tell you guys, I am so frustrated with investors and realtors calling the families who lost their home, offering to buy their land. How dare you do that to our community right now? If you are a Calamai, sorry.
And that's the thing is, like, Grasslands G says, planned or not, the vultures will take advantage, and that is true. The vultures are moving in because this is not the only person talking about it. This person will talk about it too, but we'll get into more on how it could have been planned.
Paele again coming here with some news, of course, some updates, and something that needs to be addressed. Even though it might be a little bit soon, this needs to be addressed right away because I see the potential for this to be happening very quickly. If we want to make something go viral, this is the one to go as viral as possible, because we need to make sure, obviously once they claim insurance, say they've gotten a $600,000 loan for their home and property, or it's probably more than that. But just as an example, now their home is only worth maybe $300,000. That means they have another $300,000 to pay off on top of their loan. They're not going to be able to pay those things off. Most people don't have jobs anymore, and they're going to have to work even harder to just sustain themselves for this period, and then try and rebuild a home and all of this. So there is a massive opportunity for land grab from corporate entities that have nothing to do with the Lahaina community. Anybody out of state gonna try and come in and buy homes. I can already see this potential for happening. So this is the one thing that we need to get as much.
How's it, my cousins? Okay, so it's breaking my heart right now because this one topic is all up in my feed, and if I know social media, I know algorithms, and I know that sometimes it's not in the, not saying it's you, but I could use your help to help the algorithm for the people that need to hear it. You know, some of us be preaching to the choir over here, and I know that when people come in like this, it's the masses like us that hold them accountable that maybe will spark change. And so my topic is for the people of Maui who, instead of being able to just grieve, being able to process what's going on, being able to be there for their mental health, being able to locate the still yet missing people, being able to even return back to Lahaina and figure out the damage done. Some of them get adrenaline still rushing through their bodies. They don't even know the damage that's physically done to them while trying to escape. Instead, what they gotta worry about right now, and put all of the rest aside, is these people coming in and trying to buy up their land. It just happened.
And the one thing that can be a bit conspiratorial about this is the idea that if there's a lot of resources going in there, where they said originally it was 36 people and then it shot up to 96 people that perished, and now they're saying they can't even identify the remains of people they found because they're so charged they gotta rush them off to go get their the DNA testing done to figure out who they are, and there's over like 1,300 people missing. Could it be a scenario where they don't want extra support going in there? They don't want people to be able to identify the people or to be able to save the people that remain, because it's more in their financial interest to have these people just disappear, not know who they are, and nobody can come by to claim the remaining lands. I think that is a very sad thing to think about when people, their bodies are still smoldering in the streets, and it's still a massive tragedy, but it's something that's coming up more and more because this person's talking about it. But also appreciate it, Fang Yang for gifting 5 Decoy Voice memberships. Really appreciate that. But you see this right now, and more people are talking about this, where they live there and they just don't buy it. Because again, I've never been to Hawaii. I think that was always something that I would have liked to have done, but it's a very expensive trip, even being in California. But the idea that people that are there, that have better information and insight on how the island is, what proximity Lahaina is to the rest of the islands, and just more about it, they're more skeptical than someone that is a tinfoil hat enthusiast like me.
In the industry of people losing their homes due to fire, flood, monster, emergency services. But I need you guys to hear me out. You don't see what's going on. I feel something is bigger. I've been on Maui the last 9 years, and I know the geographical location and how everything works. There was no fucking way that a hurricane missed Big Island, went to Maui, and didn't flood them, didn't give them, crazy, other things, but it caused fires. It caused fires, and not only...
And I could see where just a regular person, shell-shocked as to what happened, could be getting things wrong. What do they say? Eyewitnesses oftentimes get things wrong because it just happened too fast, and they're under stress when they're recalling the event. And someone that's standing next to somebody else could see it differently, where we now believe that it was caused by down power lines of Hurricane Dora knocking things over, fire department being inefficient, or the fire department had an inadequate response. That's a nice way to put it. But the idea that that's the way that Hurricane Dora can impact Lahaina, but not Big Island, as he says.
On Maui, but it caused fires in the most precious parts of real estate in Maui.
Well, the idea that a lot of these people aren't, I'm not calling them indigenous, but long-time landowners that don't want to sell out to the commercialization of Hawaii, or to sell out their land to, the wealthy landowners like Oprah Winfrey over in Maui. Just the idea that this was a awfully convenient way for them to get rid of the residents. And who knows? This is a tinfoil hat theory, but I'd like to hear this guy out.
Lahaina Front Street is worth billions. The Hawaiians that have been holding out, and the Kanaka, have been holding out for years, not wanting to sell their property in Lahaina due to these big $1 million companies. It is not a coincidence, I don't believe, how in the most precious parts of Maui, Kula, Lahaina, and Kihei, that the locals that are standing strong and do not want to give up Oprah Winfrey's fucking view up in Kula that the Hawaiians are holding out on, that the fire was going to, the Hawaiians and the Kanaka that was holding right there on Front Street.
So maybe there is an explanation why none of the mansions on Maui burned up. And I believe it was 3 individual fires in different spots on the island that all happened simultaneously. Coincidences do happen, but what the fuck? Like, I don't know, because you see this with what the governor of Hawaii is saying about what they're going to do with the land, and again, this guy sounds like a conspiratorial tinfoil hat wearer, which is, you know, these things get thrown around, but why is the government almost reinforcing what he's saying as well?
About preserving Lahaina moving forward.
I'm already thinking about ways for the state to acquire that land so that we can put it into workforce housing, to put it back into families, or to make it open spaces in perpetuity as a memorial to people who were lost. We want this to be something that we remember after the pain passes.
So full stop is the other person that was doing the conspiratorial video. Let me try to go back without losing my space here. Where is it? It was this guy talking about how before that, the governor's Green's anti-housing proclamation said, oh yes, he's unveiling a hinted that they're going to be able to take over the land and build group housing, I guess. And now he's over here saying, hey, because of the fire and the places that it hit, just because how many months ago, and is this in June? Was this in June he was saying? I believe it was only a few months ago they had made a decree saying if something were to happen, we could rezone the area, we could take ownership of it if something were to happen. And then a couple months later it happens, and now he's saying, well, you know what, because of this incident that occurred, I would like to be able to make this a memorial, right? We should make this a memorial, public park that the government can own again and lease out to whoever they like, because this is oceanfront, beautiful land in Maui, and now they're admitting it. And I hate to be too conspiratorial on something that is one of the worst tragedies in America in the last several decades, but you're seeing all this and you're wondering. I'm not being insensitive or saying, hey, was this like I don't know, like this is terrible. Thank you very much, FU, for the huge super chat saying, Mabuhay, Salty Army, the salt must flow, Riri, thank you. Thank you very much, FU, for being here, and also the Salty Army for being here and being longtime viewers of the channel, because I know when Decoy Voice had like 500 subscribers, I believe, somebody put a super chat on Salty Cracker's channel, shouting me out, and you guys have been hanging out here for a long time, so I really appreciate that, and thank you for the super huge super chat, because this is a major issue, at least to me. They say, hey, this tragedy happened, and they're already divvying up the remains of this tragedy. I don't even know what to say other than the idea that it seems pretty convenient that Joe Biden right now is enjoying a beachfront vacation when this happened, because everybody's very, very upset about what Donald Trump did, or what Barack Obama did during their presidencies, or what George Bush did during 9/11. But this has to be the biggest slap in the face of Americans, where the title is while we burn, he goes out there and gets a tan. That's not even that's not even a huge exaggeration on the truth. This is just, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, guys? This is the leader of the country right now, because originally, as of August 11th, they tried to say Biden, or President Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris are not going to Maui because they don't want to distract from relief efforts. Where was that energy in all of this entire year, where they wanted to go to Ukraine and take photo ops, and they wanted to go into the subway system and do rock concerts with the I think Zelensky was there, not to to try to play off what's happening over there, because it is terrible. Hawaii, Maui looks like a war zone. Ukraine is a war zone, but the idea that it's awfully convenient when they want to respond, Ukraine, and when they don't want to respond, Hawaii, East Palestine, all these things that they're just too inconvenient for them. Thank you, David Leeper, for joining the Decoy squad, because you see this, and it's just banana republic status, where Biden comes back from vacation, where he spent about 40% of his time as president on vacation in his Delaware home on the beach, riding bikes around, just doing nothing for the country after all the long, strenuous half days that he works as president. But the idea that when he comes back, he's, what do they say, 100 yards away from the press because they were cordoned off. Thank you, Bite Deity, for the super chat saying Joe Biden needs to be careful because Irish people get sunburned easily. I mean, the idea that over in Delaware, any old man of this age, it'd be very easy for him to get sunburned, but I think that he's just barely hanging on as it is, so I think that his skin is the least of his worries. But thank you for the super chat by Deity. But you look at this right now.
Any comment on the special counsel, Mr. President?
Will you be handing your fake records over to Congress, President Biden?
Peter Ducey there, but it's like the idea that even if they were standing in the same room with him, like other political leaders, sometimes Joe Biden has a difficulty hearing what they're saying right in front of him, so obviously he's not going to hear this. But as we go on, when they finally sit him down and get him candidly saying, "Hey, talk to us about the tragedy in Maui right now."
President, any comments on the rising death toll in Maui?
Will you come talk about the Hawaii response, Mr. President?
Just kind of smiles about it. No comments. I don't care about over there. Like, we already can harvest a whole bunch of ballots anyway, so why would we care about the recovery of, what is this, 2,200 structures that were destroyed, 86% of those structures being residential homes, and 96 people confirmed dead with, they say it's expected to rise. Yeah, I think they're slow walking the number. I think we would likely reach, and again, I'm not an expert, but I believe we will likely reach in the thousands, or not thousands, but into the four figure, because it's just, it's tragic what's happening over there. But then right after that, he's heading off to another vacation. As of another weekend vacation as of the 11th? Like, what does he do?
Can you interact with so many of your on Maui? Mr. President, are you under the
Just scurrying off, and honestly, this, if you were to sum up Joe Biden's presidency in one image, it would either be the Ukrainian flag, or it'd be him walking away from the press. That would be how I remember Joe Biden's presidency. I think you remember George Bush's presidency, of them whispering in his ear when he's reading the books to the kids and they're telling him about 9/11. With Barack Obama, I don't know, maybe I think of drones. And then with Donald Trump, I think about, I don't know, I think of memes, I guess. Maybe it's sad, but just, you see this, and this is him. Oh yeah, Monkey Phonics saying, or falling upstairs. Yeah, I think that's how I also would remember this, because you see this where he's not talking to the press, and when the press actually are able to make contact with him and actually get him to listen to them, he's saying no comment. But then his media team, I'm guessing, went on his Twitter today saying, as residents of Hawaii mourn the loss of life and devastation taking place across their beautiful home, we mourn with them. The prayers are with them. FEMA's temporary sheltering assistance available for residents. And then also, we're laser focused on getting aid to survivors, including critical needs assistance, a one-time $700 payment per household, offering relief during an unimaginably difficult time. We have staff on the ground dedicated to helping survivors navigate the registration process. So you got them out there helping you register your name when you don't know where your family is, you desperately need insulin that's on the island, apparently. Just FEMA and the military are blocking them. You got all this stuff, but we're going to give you a one-time $700 payment, just like when you got locked in your home and they say, look, we know you lost your job. We know that you can't visit your grandparents in the hospitals as they're passing away. We know that we're forcing you to take this medication. We're forcing something into your body right now. But how about a $1,400 one-time payment that is oftentimes getting sent to Nigeria, to China, or any of these other countries that were very easily getting access to our emergency relief funds, and they weren't even citizens, they were just scam artists. The idea that we're going to give you a $700 of your own tax dollars back because we like to feel good about ourselves, but we're not that charitable. Like this is a slap in the face, especially when you see from Decoy the Great saying 2,700 structures destroyed in Lahaina, valued at approximately $5.6 billion. And they say, Biden says, with his $115 billion sent to Ukraine, offers just $1.9,700 per household to Lahaina. This is deeply insulting. And I know I saw a million times in the chat, and you see it everywhere on social media, if only Hawaii was located in Ukraine, would they be able to get these resources? Because you see this, what is this from 4 days ago? Biden seeking $40 billion in emergency funds for Ukraine, disaster relief, and $40 billion on top of the $100 million that we already sent over there, and the idea that the counteroffensive isn't doing too good. We are slowly slipping into a hot conflict with the BRICS nations, where somebody said in one of my chats saying, hey, we might be going to a conflict with the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and someone said, that's not a military alliance. Yet. It's not a military alliance yet. This could very, very quickly dissolve in this, or get us into a situation where all of a sudden they start marching NATO soldiers in to Poland to fight the Russians. Like this could get there very fast, and yet 1.9 million, just under 2 million for Americans, 40 billions in additional aid to Ukraine. What's going on over there? Because this, I don't know. People are upset online. I'm not saying this is necessarily a video from this year. Who knows? The internet likes to shove around a lot of stuff and make it go viral when it's not there. But people are upset at the idea that over in Ukraine, it doesn't seem like our dollar is getting its dollar's worth. Accounting's all wonky right now. I saw a rumor, can't confirm it, but supercars have been purchased. The supercar sales are at an all-time high. Who knows what's really going on over there? But the idea that Americans are getting a fraction of what overseas is getting, because I'll tell you right now, our politicians only see what's in it for themselves. Because you see this over here. This is Hawaiian, or I believe it's a state senator, Brian Schatz, can't hide his smirk as Maui's burned. And this is Mike Cernovich saying about it. He's going to have a more conservative slant on things. But I don't believe that this is a subjective statement, because of look at this senator smirking as he's talking about getting federal assistance.
Brian Schatz is the Democratic senator from Hawaii who shared these images from a devastated Maui during his tour of the area yesterday, and he is here to tell us about it now. Senator,
he can't contain himself. The fuck?
It's great to have you under awful circumstances, and like I said to Senator Hirono last night, everybody I've talked to and seen is thinking about folks in Hawaii and pulling for you and sending love and concern. What did you see yesterday when you were able to tour the parts that were so devastated?
Thanks, Chris, for doing this, and thank you for your kind words. And I just want to thank everybody.
Maybe this is like a Dr. Fauci moment where, yes, you understand that a lot of people have passed away, but you're a struggling state senator with aspirations of being president one day, and now, by just some miracle on earth, you are going to be thrust in the forefront of this major disaster that's impacting all these Americans, and now you get your time to shine. And he's just so giddy, like a kid on Christmas Eve, where he's like, yes, finally I get to make my powerful political speech that lets everybody know how compassionate I am and how involved I am with the community. So he just thinks this is his moment to start to climb the political ladder. But even in that bizarre made-up scenario in my head right now, it doesn't make him a better person than what Cernovich is implying, where it's just like, yeah, everything's burning, but, I'm about to get a lot of money.
Everybody across the country and across the world for the solidarity and the support and the money that is pouring in, because this is
10 seconds into his speech and he's talking about the money.
It's a disaster ongoing. We are still in disaster response. We are not in the rebuilding phase. But what I saw was it was as though a bombing run had happened.
And what? These are his neighbors. I'd have to look. I believe he's a state senator. He's not their senator, right? I guess chat could answer that question. I just want to know. He's actually their senator. Wow, I thought he was just a state's Jesus. So So he's someone that would likely spend more of his time in DC than over in Hawaii. Well, I know nothing. I know nothing of Hawaiian politics apparently, but the idea that he's not even hiding his grin about this.
On Lahaina, it's flattened. It is razed to the ground. The sugar mill is intact. The lighthouse is intact. The banyan tree is still standing.
Oh, you can't.
Native Hawaiians and Filipinos and Portuguese and Caucasians and tourists from all over the.
This is like a political speech now.
Planet, and people surfing and fishing and watching the whales and having a beer and dancing.
Like this is the image right here that any Republican running against him just needs to use for their campaign. Yes, Schatz out there just grinning and smiling as his state burned to the ground because he gets to get some funds and attention to his political aspirations.
Dancing hula, and it is now what you see on the screen. So it's a devastating time for the people of Hawaii, and we appreciate the solidarity as we navigate through the next several weeks and months and years.
And as you go from, their senator, not state senator, I guess, but the idea that, it doesn't seem like anybody in their roster whatsoever really cares about what's happening over there, because here's, Karine Jean-Pierre not knowing who their Senator Mazie Hirono is, which I think that she's a garbage politician, but the idea where she doesn't even know who she is, can't say her name, and obviously I can't say anybody's name either, but I mean, I pronounce almost nothing correctly, but the idea that doesn't know who she is, if she's a guy or girl, how to say the name, it's just ridiculous.
Senator Hirono, who I said the president spoke to just last night, he thanked the president for the immediate support of federal aid.
He spoke to her? I mean, so she spoke to her, the president spoke to her, because that would make it worse if she directly talked to a Asian woman and then got her name wrong and said it was a man afterwards.
Senator Hirono, who I said the president spoke to just last night, he thanked the president for the immediate support of federal agencies have delivered for residents of Hawaii. Senator Hirono, who I said the president spoke.
Okay, yeah, there's that, and then also the idea is like, yes, is Biden going to go visit Hawaii, to at least for the optics of it?
Given what the administrator said about the perils of the president traveling to Hawaii now, does he want to travel there eventually to survey the damage and meet survivors?
So obviously I don't have anything to announce at this time. Look, we're going to continue to have conversations with the administrator. Certainly.
We don't have anything at the time. We don't have anything at the time. We can't go over there because this isn't their priority. He's on the beach right now, but at least you see stuff like this.
Anybody on social media, we need to get some of this stuff out to the people in Lahaina. If you can't post it, come out here and tell your friends.
To where, Matt?
To Kahana Boat Ramp, to Lumlum Estates. And ask anybody if you don't know. It's pretty easy to find. You have to go around because the bridge is out. So you have to go around the people market and come down this way.
They come from the north side.
And it's a one-way, so mind you, it's going to be a little congested, but we're here, man. We got so much stuff. And people need it, man. The stuff you guys are bringing is unreal. Thanks. They're going to need it.
They're bringing in supplies to Lahaina because of a natural disaster that occurred on American soil. This is a U.S. national disaster, and we got to smuggle in supplies like this is some random country under embargo. Like this happened in Cuba in the 1990s, and we need to give them humanitarian aid even though, the countries aren't playing nice right now. This is America. Ukraine can get billions of dollars. Hell, even the Taliban can get our millions of dollars of cash and all our latest military equipment just gifted to them. But the idea that Americans right now need us to be smuggled in by Sea-Doos because the military and FEMA are blocking them from getting it. I don't like to be tinfoil hat theory on things that are just so tragic where I can't even show you the video because how much suffering and all the terrible things we've seen there, or even the survivors where they're just huddled up on whatever they can floating in the ocean as they're seeing their homes literally burn up in flames in front of their faces, and yet we gotta talk about the tinfoil hat theory of us having to smuggle in supplies by Sea-Doo to help Americans because they're being promised a $1.9 or a $700 check if they can get to the area where the government's going to make sure that they actually are a resident, and they can say, okay, we're marking you alive or whatever, but this blows my mind. Looking at all this video footage, I'm like, okay, this is crazy. This is terrible. This is terrible. But seeing the guys talking about pallets of stuff and the guy saying, hey, we got insulin for the people on Lahaina. I know that they're going to need it. And then you're seeing stuff like this where they're like, oh yeah, he's got 2 gas cans with him in the ocean saying, yeah, come to this area. It's kind of hard. It's a secluded spot. This literally looks like cartels sneaking something into the country. And now you have them saying, hey, this is fresh water, warm meals, and medical supplies. Hop on the Vacation Zedu so we can get it to Americans. This is a travesty, and it's sad because, yes, Benny Johnson talking about how Biden's going to travel to Lake Tahoe, Nevada for a week this Friday while utterly ignoring hundreds of dead Americans in Maui. And then people post this meme over here where it shows Trump 2 days after Hurricane Laura, and then Biden 5 days after the Hawaii wildfires. And now, I believe this video might have been older, but it could be the 5 days after the Hawaii wildfires. But then I forgot what podcaster or streamer was talking about, like, yes, if this happened under Trump's watch, he'd be there the day of. And it was like, what was the other natural disaster? Let me know in chat. What was the other natural disaster that happened was it East Palestine that Trump showed up as just a guy banned on all social media, can't make a Facebook, can't make a YouTube account, but then he went over there and went to McDonald's and paid for everybody's meals and was trying to get them supplies, and it was people were complaining, oh, Donald Trump didn't once reach for his wallet. It's like, yeah, his people pay for that stuff. Yeah, it was East Palestine where Trump showed up and was actually providing supplies to the people while Biden was probably taking another nap on the beach. But it's like, yes, over in Texas after the storm, Hurricane Harvey, Trump was out there.
President Trump traveling to storm-ravaged Texas today to offer some reassurances to the Lone Star State.
Thank you, everybody. I just want to say we love you. You are special. We're here to take care.
Touring a local emergency operations center.
The world is watching, and the world is very impressed with what you're doing.
And vowing to local officials that they will have the federal support they need.
We're going to be working with Congress on helping out the state of Texas. It's going to be a costly proposition. Probably there's never been anything so expensive in our country's history. Mr. President, thank you. Thank you.
Texas Governor.
And here's the thing. You might not like Trump. You might think he does shady things in business. You might think a lot of awful things that the media has perpetuated to you, and you think, oh my God, he'd be such a jerk. But if you're in Hawaii right now, would you rather know your president is taking a nap on some beach in Delaware, or he's going over to Nevada to hang out for a bit, or just working 60% of the time, half days mostly? Or would you rather have a president that sits down with your governor saying, this is how we're going to take care of things, this is how he's going to show up, he's actually doing something, he's actually conscious and formulating his own thoughts and ideas as to how he can help your country, how he can help your state? I think most people would take mean tweets back in an instant to get someone like Trump over there, because this is CNN coverage. You got to understand, if there was something bad about what Trump was doing here in response to Hurricane Harvey, you know that would be what they're running with. Like they would say, breaking news would be Trump calls Abbott a racial slur and then dines and dashes at their local Buc-ee's or something. Like, that's what he would be saying. That's what the headline would be saying on CNN. But for them to say giving Trump an attaboy means he was doing a pretty good job.
Greg Abbott praised the Trump administration's response so far, saying federal officials have kept a low profile but offered vital assistance behind the scenes.
No comment, and then he's off to the races, whatever, because Trump went out there and made this speech. I'll play a bit of it.
I would like to express my
about Maui
sympathy and warmest regards to the people of Hawaii, and specifically all of those who have been so gravely and irreparably hurt by the tragedy of the wildfires in Maui, something the likes of which have seldom been seen anywhere at any time. The death caused by this catastrophic event will be far worse than ever expected now that houses and cars and other areas are being inspected. The sad thing is, it should never have happened. Our government was not prepared, and very importantly, the aftermath is going very poorly, with the governor of the island wanting to do nothing but blame it on global warming and other things that just happened to pop into his head. When asked about it today, as he was getting into a car, perhaps coming home from the beach, where he has been spending a great deal of time. Crooked Joe Biden, the most incompetent president.
So here's the thing: this is the most anti politician speak ever. Like, I don't think I'd ever see a Ron DeSantis, a Mike Pence, or a Mitch McConnell making this type of speech, because this is just him being brash. But I think that more and more Americans are being impacted by terrible policies at their local government, including Republican politics. And they're realizing that they don't align themselves with a politician of their choice, red or blue, whatever. They're just blue collar Americans, hardworking people, and they realize that politicians aren't speaking on their behalf, and they're starting to see themselves as an outsider, kind of like Trump is seeing himself as an outsider, saying, "Oh, he's hanging at the beach doing nothing. The governor just wants to blame this. He's not helping anybody." It's like, yeah, it sounds brash, it sounds rude, but it's what you're thinking. And he's saying it out loud on a nation or global scale because everybody's paying attention to him.
President in the history of our country, with a laugh and a smile, said he had no comment on the death and the tragedy.
Nope.
To say no comment is oftentimes fine, but to be smiling when you say it, especially against such a tragedy as this, is absolutely horrible and unacceptable.
And the only way, here's the thing is, one, Biden said, "Do you have any statements about Maui?" And he knows about the massive death, and he just knows how terrible it is, and just how many years it's going to take for that community to rebuild. And he just kind of smiles and laughs it off, saying, "No, I don't want to talk about that. I'm going on vacation, guys. See ya." Like, this is a guy about to take his PTO to, like, on a cruise, on a vacation or something. He's just so giddy about that, he doesn't care. That by itself would be terrible. But the alternative scenario is the idea that he's so old and senile, doesn't know where the hell he is, that they said, "Hey, do you know what happened in Maui?" And he doesn't know what happened in Maui. He's the president. Why would he know about what's happening in one of his states? Him saying, no comment, because he has no idea what it is. And that's equally, if not a worse scenario, where our president is so old and senile that he doesn't understand what's happening in one of his states, and he's just like, yeah, I don't know, no comment. Both scenarios are equally terrible, but I mean, Trump has a point.
It is a disgraceful thing that Joe Biden refuses to help or comment on the tragedy in Maui, just as he refused to help or comment on the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio,
that he still has not visited.
Very long time.
Because he said, "I'm going to visit at some point in time." I believe, what was it, Buttigieg, the person they're trying to line up for president next to Gavin Newsom. Who knows who they're going to run with later on when they realize they can't run Biden anymore. But the idea that they said they don't want to distract people from the recovery efforts, so they don't want to do their job. It's like, I'm the leader, I'm the boss, I'm the manager of this project. I don't want to distract my people from working, so I'm just going to go and scoot off to my mansion and just kind of hang out over there for a while. Like, utter absurdity, but the idea that he's bringing it up where they don't seem to do anything unless it has to do with fundraising for themselves.
In any event, hopefully everyone will be able to pull together so that a horrible situation does not get even worse. To the families affected, I give you my love and sympathy. Nothing can ever replace your loved ones, but you will always have the memories and will feel their great love surrounding and embracing you. Together we will continue to carry their legacy forward, and I love you all very much. Thank you.
This is obviously another step on his campaign trail because he wants to become president again, and I understand where he's coming from, but how insane is it that they are going to do absolutely everything so he can't run for president anymore, and we can't return to a time where we have somebody that is actually apparently looking out for American citizens? Because you see this over here where Tim Pool calls it a seditious conspiracy because the Fulton district attorney indicted Trump under Georgia's RICO law. Reuters obtained the documents. The grand jury's still meeting. So I guess this is not the slide I want to pull up, but the idea that on their website, before the grand jury had adjourned, where I'm not a big legal expert, but the grand jury is supposed to convene to talk about what charges they're going to bring on Trump. As they were deciding, the grand jury was deciding what charges, if they should be charging him, are we going to indict him? The Fulton County, the Fulton County already released with a case number, with their name, with a date that they're filing these charges, which is like, a RICO violations back in 2020, solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer, conspiracy. They're already charging him. They already had the documents filed to charge him before the grand jury agreed that they were going to charge him. This seems to be a bit out of order, and everybody's rightfully freaking out. But now you see this over here where the clerk is saying, hey, no, this is fictitious, even though it came from the official website. The volume's crazy down. They say the Fulton County Clerk of Superior and Magistrate Court says the documents do not bear an official case number, filing date, and the name of clerk courts in concert are not considered official filings and should not be treated as such, despite the fact that apparently it was from their official website and also has a case number. A case number in concert or not? The name of clerk of courts. Where is the clerk of courts? The judicial officer. They have. I believe they have everything they say that there isn't, so they're just lying, saying it's not actually occurring, even though it did occur, which is very bizarre because didn't we have was it a CNN correspondent saying, oh yes, the judge that's in charge of this case is a woman of color, and CNN was smirking about it, saying, hey, we're finally going to get him because we have the game rigged against him. Very, very sad and bizarre when you see something like this where Ben Stein, who used to have be a comedian and had a show on, I believe, Comedy Central, talking about, oh yeah, win Ben Stein's money, I'm a rich guy that just has a funny droning voice. But no, he's out there making a statement saying, no, we're in an occupied country because of what's occurring in our banana republic.
A few days ago, I awakened to see on my dining room table a whole bunch of newspapers about President Trump, former President Trump.
It's very low, so I'll just say, he says, you'll hear in newspapers about Donald Trump being indicted for what they did to me. Seems like the funniest charges I've seen in my life. He is the former president of the United States. He won tens of millions of votes in the last election, which is crazy because tens of millions of Donald Trump set a record amount of got a record amount of votes during a pandemic, during a lockdown, and all that what was going on in 2020. Well, the idea that Donald Trump set records, but apparently Joe Biden set a bigger record, being more popular than Barack Obama, getting more people in the voting booths for him, despite the fact that he can't fill a high school gymnasium with his actual supporters. But then Ben Stein goes on to say it's not at all clear he's done any of that or anything that in any way was a danger to national security, and yet he's being indicted and has a possibility of spending the rest of his life, because they're hanging hundreds of years over Donald Trump's head right now. But in several other lives in prisons, I think we're now in an occupied country, very reminiscent of Paris under German occupation. Scary. And how many people do we see that come from South America, or they're coming from, who's the girl, Yeonmi Park from North Korea, saying this is very reminiscent to when these countries were taken over by socialist dictators or communist dictators, and the regime was taking place, banning free speech, jailing their political rivals, and promising all this support and care as long as you just give up your rights to the government. A lot of this stuff is occurring, and it's happening right in front of our faces, because let's be honest. Like him or not, I think there is a record amount of people that are huge Donald Trump supporters in this country, and they want to vote for Donald Trump because they see what's going on in the world, and they just don't want us to become the next North Korea, China, or the next Australia, for that matter, where Australia has all these internment camps, or these quarantine facilities they're building that don't have construction completion dates until later this year. They built them, and they began building them in 2020 or 2021. They're going to a central digital currency where their banks don't even allow you to withdraw cash anymore. A lot of stuff is happening over there that show you that they're going into a totalitarian regime that only China could dream of, or Canada's Justin Trudeau could dream of, because he thinks that China has a good program over there. But the idea that they just want to vote for Trump because they don't want our country to slip in the direction of the Joe Bidens, George Bushes anymore. If they throw him in jail, not because a grand jury decided to indict him, but because a judge said, you know what, these are the charges I want to file, the DA wants this, screw the process. Let's just go ahead and go after him so he can't run for president because the establishment is so deathly afraid of him. People aren't gonna like it. It's going to cause a giant rift in the country because think about the options we have right now if Donald Trump doesn't run for office. You got Ron DeSantis and his tragic campaign for president. You hear Ron DeSantis caught on the hot mic getting angry that a Donald Trump airplane is nearby him during one of his rallies, and it's tragic because I was on the mentality that Ron DeSantis could have been the de facto GOP candidate in 2028. All he had to do was just wait one cycle, continue to support Donald Trump, have Donald Trump continue to support him, be buddy-buddy, maybe even have a place in Donald Trump's cabinet if he would have won 2024's election, but just nearly everything Ron DeSantis has done on his pathway to run for president has just blown up in his face, in my opinion. And I'm a big fan of what he's done in Florida because you got Ron DeSantis and you got Mike Pence still running. And this is an official, they say, this is a professional campaign video from Mike Pence.
Mike Pence here. Remember $2 a gallon gas? I do. And then Joe Biden became president of the United States and launched his war on energy. Since that time, gasoline prices are up 60%. Electricity prices are up 25%. Joe Biden's war on energy is causing real hardship for working families, small businesses, and family farms. But we've got a plan to relieve all of that. We just unveiled the Pence Energy Plan that'll not only put our country back on a path to energy independence.
This is like the chirping you hear in all those videos where they go memes on there. But it just, the idea that this is someone that had, sorry, I had a bug there. This is like what I see a meme on like Instagram recently where they were saying, oh yeah, the Kardashians, when they go to the grocery store, it's so foreign to them, like they don't know how things work, they don't know how to swipe their own credit card. They're so detached from most people. And you see Mike Pence with his microphone on there in some, very American blue collar looking truck with his very clean suit, pumping gasoline like he's never pumped gasoline before. Hearing the beep, it's like, what is Jack Posobiec says, just push the button, just say you need premium or you need regular, or that mysterious middle fuel I've never seen anybody get. But the idea where he's just sitting there like, I'm trying to be like the average American, and yet subtly, like through body language, through the idea that he doesn't understand what buttons to push, that he doesn't understand that he needs to start pumping gasoline, shows he said, do you remember when gasoline was $2? I don't, but my staff seems to think that was a big deal. Here you go, American. Like, this is ridiculous.
But by 2040, we will reclaim America's role as the leading producer of energy in the world.
And I like what he's saying, but it's just like I said in that one the Tucker Carlson, the Tucker primary, where he's like NyQuil washing down an Ambien. Like, I don't care about any of his long-winded speeches whatsoever, and a lot of these new voters aren't going to, especially when everything optically you see, there's something off about it. Like I said a long time ago, I had interned at a not a graphic design firm, it was like a marketing firm. They did a lot of stuff in-house, but the idea where he says, the confused mind says no. When you're making a billboard of something, if there's something subtly incorrect about it, your lizard brain cues in on it saying what they're saying is okay, but your brain automatically knows there's something not congruent about what he's doing. Yeah, he's pumping gas like me, but who pumps gas like all stiff like this? Who pumps gas not actually pumping something is very not real about what he's doing, and it's very apparent, and it's just I don't think that he has any chance whatsoever of winning a political office. It's not in a deep conservative area that they just yearn for another establishment politician. I think he's done for. The thing is, though, as I saw in the chat a little bit earlier, saying Pence needs a face chat. He needs something edgy. He needs something to make him seem more real. But then Vivek Ramaswamy, where Zero Sum doesn't seem to like this. Let me know, chat. Do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing for Vivek Ramaswamy, who I was not a believer before, but now seeing him in all his speeches, I believe that he actually would be a good president and actually would be somebody good in Trump's campaign or in Trump's cabinet. He's hitting all the things right, but then he does this. Let me know if this helps his campaign or hurts his campaign.
The clock's run out. Time's up.
All of applause, and back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. So mad.
So I guess I can't play it all, but he's rapping Eminem's "Lose Yourself," doing a good job rapping. But I mean, let's see. It's okay. So Polish says cringe. Everybody's saying ha ha ha, facepalm, cringe. I think it hurts. Some people saying they like it. Some people saying bad, cringe. Trump 2024, hippity to hoppity. Vivek is evil. Okay, cringy, but he killing. And that's the thing is like this is like dad level. Like this is what do you call it? Like you know, Fox Family or ABC Family. I forget what station that was, but like a family channel station where the dad comes out and he starts rapping like Modern Family, but he's actually good at rapping, so you kind of feeling it. It's that kind of wholesome type of humor. Upper Robin says charming. Ross Williams says he could be a VP. I mean, they say it's try hard, no opinion, don't really care. Okay, so people are still on the fence about this, but it's just, okay, if you didn't have an option to vote for Trump and your options were Ron DeSantis getting angry at a plane, Mike Pence looking like he's never pumped fuel in his entire life, Vivek Ramaswamy doing dad jokes and rapping, I think that I like Vivek, but I'd be furious at the idea that the corporate establishment, not the corporate establishment, I guess the corporate establishment, but the political establishment, the government, the murky circumstances that caused it where I, as an American, could not vote for my candidate of choice. This is not the DNC. I'm not a diehard Democrat where I would say back in 2016, I really love myself some Bernie Sanders, but you shoved Hillary Clinton down my throat, so I'm just going to be a good little voter and vote for Democrat no matter what. I'm not a Democrat in 2020 where I said, you know what, I really like a Tulsi Gabbard or even maybe an Andrew Yang who was kind of a weirdo to me. But the idea that those good little Democrats, they wanted themselves Bernie Sanders again, a Tulsi Gabbard, or maybe even Bloomberg or something, but the idea that they just shoved a Joe Biden down your throat and you had to be a good little Democrat voter and vote for them no matter what because you just don't care that they took away your freedom of choice. We're not that. We don't think that you can just say, you know what, we don't like what Tulsi Gabbard would do to the establishment, so we're going to go ahead and just push somebody else instead. I think that is a travesty, and I think it's going to cause major issues because, again, I say Joe Rogan, you know, one of the most popular podcasters I think ever, but I would see him as a modern day everyman where he speaks for like, you know, the modern day Jim Rowe, the guy that, you know, didn't go to college or didn't finish college or doesn't pay attention to CNN. He speaks on behalf of a lot of average Americans, average American males. And the idea is if Joe Rogan subscribes to a Donald Trump, where previously Joe Rogan said he would not have Donald Trump on his podcast because he didn't want to give him a platform, but now he's saying he would have Donald Trump on his podcast for his tens of millions of viewers, but the idea that now he's saying good things about Trump, we're starting to see a major culture shift on, you know, orange man bad, but I like to afford bread, so orange man bad is acceptable. This is a huge movement right now.
No one is going to run against Trump in the Republican side and win because you're not going to get the Trump supporters.
No.
They are all in on Trump. Unless he has a stroke, unless something happens that's horrible, they're all in on Trump. If you run against Trump, you're now the enemy of Trump. If I was friends with DeSantis, I'd be like, don't do it. You can't beat that guy. You just can't. When that guy gets out there and he's waving to people and they're going crazy, you're not beating that. There's and the fact that he was the president for 4 years and the country was in a great economic situation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it looked like his policies were actually effective.
Yes.
And that it looked like the unemployment was down, all business.
The only thing that derailed him is the Cove and Dr. Fauci, but I mean, that likely would have hit anybody.
Was building, regulations were being relaxed, more things were getting done. You know, when you look at it from a policy perspective, if you just look at it on paper, what he did was effective. A lot of people think it was effective.
And that's the thing, that he had a higher approval rating than Joe Biden, despite the fact that the entire media, everybody was against him, and yet somehow people still saw through all the lies in the mainstream dinosaur corporate media, and they still enjoyed him. Imagine if Donald Trump got the same type of coverage and support that a Joe Biden got, or a Pete Buttigieg got, or I guess Gavin Newsom's not even in the spotlight yet, but I can assure you, being in California for a very long time, Gavin Newsom would be terrible, but the idea that everybody's starting to open their eyes to it, and it's getting bad. So transitioning over to the more of the conspiratorial front, we're going to cover a couple more things right now when we get to the chat. The idea is, what do you guys think this is over here? Talking about a, quote, real satellite video of this aircraft being surrounded by... What is this? What do you guys think in the chat? What is going on to this aircraft? Because usually you see one video, and it's like, okay, this could be very easily like a lens flare or something. But I believe this is two slightly different angles from a satellite, and then also multiple items going around this plane. So people saying fake. Seagulls, fake. Tic Tac, drones. Photoshop, aliens. A movie. Aliens, drones, fake. It's Pikachu, PSYOP. This can easily be disproven, but I want to know how you disprove it. Like, what is this? So, it's from a new show on Cartoon Network? I could believe that. Tic Tac, massive chink. Chat GPT, fake. CIA. Drones, shiny ball. Okay. Could be a lot of different... It could be Goku, military tech. It's Trump, okay, Superman, flying ball spaghetti. But then you see stuff like this. And again, they don't know what it is, but over in... What is it? Not Pennsylvania. Is this the Pennsylvania one? What happened here? Because apparently they still don't know. I think one person passed away, a couple more injured. Because they see this, and then the aftermath. Yeah, Pennsylvania. Meth house? Gas line? But it looks to be happening in front of the house. Gas? Okay. So people are saying gas, fish, gas line. Okay, I could see that, which is natural gas. But then what do we do to avoid this from ever happening again? Because... So gas line, septic explosion? I don't know. Can septic tank really do that much damage? Obviously an explosion, yes. Propane tanks, okay. But then over here you see this where it's like, yeah, what's causing this? Large fire in Northwest Houston. In Houston, over in Texas. Huge fire off the side of the thing. Now, there is a community notes tab from some of the posts saying it's a mulch fire. But then, controlled mulch, it got out of hand this fast? Arsonist? Utopans, mixtape, okay. Breaking Bad. Some people saying this is fake. Controlled burn. Yeah, they say it's a controlled burn, but this doesn't look to be in control right now. Space lasers? Because here's the thing, is you say space lasers, and there is a lot of chatter about space lasers right now, because back in, January, they had talked about, yes, they saw lasers hitting Hawaii, and they're thinking, okay, is this possibly what happened?
Camera. Japanese and local astronomers say a Chinese satellite was recently seen beaming down green lasers over the islands. This video captured atop the Subaru telescope on Mauna Kea, operated by the National Astronomical Observatory of Japan. Bryce Moore has the story.
The lasers flash for just a couple seconds. Initially thought to be from a NASA altimeter satellite, the Japanese put out a correction note on Monday saying NASA scientists found a most likely candidate as the ACDL instrument by the Chinese Daki-1 AEMS.
So I'm seeing that a lot. DEWs. What is a DEW? I don't know. Green is low energy, okay. But people saying DEWs, I've seen that a lot. And they're using like directed energy weapons from space. So they think that is, and yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene did talk about that.
Satellite. I went to a University of Hawaii astronomer who read up on AEMS instruments.
It's a Chinese satellite that is measuring pollutants, among other things. It has many different instruments on it. Some kind of topographical...
So they're measuring pollutants, and that's why the lasers are out there. But I mean, why are we allowing this to occur over our country? And do we ever trust anything that's coming from that country whatsoever? I think not, because... Again, conspiratorial, but you see this video over here, and I, for one, don't believe it, because I feel like this could be... Let me just play it.
Look behind you. Insane. Whoa, did you see that just shoot across? Did anyone else see that?
So then they're going to play it really slow. They're going to show that there was this thing that went across. What do you guys think this is? Because I think that this very easily could be a video from vacation in Israel or a older video from Hawaii. Who knows what it is? But they're saying this could possibly be what happened in Hawaii. Maybe this. Okay, so people are saying Chinese Superman. Go ahead light. Okay, so it could be a car turning really quick, and that was just a glare in the lens. I could see that. Sonic the Hedgehog, a frisbee. Gus Berserk saying virtual effects is amazing now. Don't trust these videos, which I also believe that could be a thing where, yes, that could be. Oh yeah, and then Omni Travis says Perseids meteors, and actually I do believe that. Actually, I could see that could be a thing. Where that's just a meteor shower happening and you barely seeing it. But here's something that is, again, conspiratorial, like tinfoil hat theory stuff, and I don't want to be insensitive as to what's happening over there, but it's something definitely worth talking about because everybody's, saying things about what may or may not be occurring in Hawaii. Is Garbaggio, some random account on Twitter or X, says, anyone else think it's odd that Maui's police chief was the chief of he was the incident commander of the Las Vegas massacre. So they say Maui police chief John Pelletier, and they say over here, we're from Maui Now, an article in 2021. So it wouldn't be like somebody would go back in time and write this article. This is just some random news website. But the idea that they talk about how they selected the sworn-in Maui police chief John Pelletier. They say, in 2017, Pelletier notably served as incident commander for 1 October mass casualty event in Las Vegas. They try to call it 1 October, not the Route 91, Route 15 massacre? But I forget what it was called. But they say the deputy chief selection, Hank, was a part of the command for the incident and provided after-action presentations across the country on preventing, responding to, and mitigating similar active shooter events. And this guy happens to be the guy that's in charge of Maui right now after this other incident. So yes, a lot of people are saying that. Pelletier. William Cordes says paid off to be the fall guy. I mean, I think like Sharia J says, it's just a moment. Like, okay, why would you need a particular person to be in the same place for both massive things that they don't want us to talk about? Because what happened over in Vegas, we got very little information, the worst incident in American history, and yet we heard nothing after it. Again, coincidences do happen. It can be fun to ponder them, but this one's a little bit too raw. It's too recent. It's very unfortunate, but just interesting to say the least, especially considered over in Canada right now. They say thousands have been evacuated across small communities, but like Lahaina, serious telecommunication failure is ongoing, where they're showing in Canada, they're now having massive amounts of wildfires. Now, I haven't seen this on too many media outlets, but then the same thing with Hawaii is when it was just starting out, you didn't see much of it happening. But you just got to think, it's occurring all throughout Canada at seemingly the same time, where I used to have a better video of this, but they showed over in Canada during the wildfires that were what was making, New York City looking apocalyptic, even though they're miles and miles away, is all of South. All the fires appeared to occur at the same time. Now, they're trying to say, like in the mainstream media, oh, it's wildfire season over in Canada, so it would make sense that the wildfires would occur at the same time, but I mean, this was very bizarre. This seems very bizarre. I mean, again, there's no actual conclusion to it in my mind, but it's crazy. Because, yeah, maybe Sunshine saying it's happening around the world, and Division Agent says that was 100% arson. We saw over in, Europe recently, was it Greece that had wildfires very recently, and they found the video of the people doing it, which was very bizarre to me that when they had the video that they were showing on the mainstream media, and they were like on dirt bikes out there, and you see them starting the fires, they blurred out their faces. Why would we need to blur out the faces of someone committing a crime that's going to end the lives of several of your countrymen? You gotta protect their identity? Like, why? This is occurring absolutely everywhere, And yet, the only thing that it's going to result in is more doomsday, more, the Hawaiian governor saying it's because climate change. Maybe it is. Maybe hurricanes are getting worse, or wildfires are becoming more common, whatever it may be. But they don't have the best track record when these politicians say, we need to take away your rights, we need to take away your stove, your wood-fired brick pizza oven in New York City, your gasoline vehicle, your ability to fly commercial and fly coach and for cheap airfare. When we're taking away all that stuff, it's because of things like this that they seem to never get correct.
We have sea ice, which is melting at a rate that the Arctic Ocean now increasingly is exposed. In 5 years, scientists predict we will have the first ice-free Arctic summer.
When he says ice-free Arctic summer, they talked about having no gasoline by this year. Like, literally none of this stuff actually comes to fruition. But the idea is, do these people get fired? If they said, hey, look, go tell the politician, they're this wacky scientist, tell the politician that the ice, we're going to have an Arctic-free summer. All the ice caps will melt, and the sea level will rise. Do we ever go back to those scientists and say, hey, your diploma is now void? Like, do we ever punish them? Hey, John Kerry, you're wrong about all these things. We may have lost this right or that right, and you passed this legislation to make sure that all our vehicles are on the electric power grid by this certain year. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Do we ever turn back and say, hey, John Kerry, I want my money back? You took all these you had this taxpayer paid salary. We want that back. Like, do they ever get punished for being wrong? No, that's why we have an issue right now. So before we get to the super chats, if you guys haven't already, please consider becoming a channel member. It's just $2 a month. You can also become a super supporter with the premium members of Decoy Elite or Decoy Commander membership. It's pretty cool. You get access in the community tab to a discount code over at decoyvoice.com for the shop area, where you get cool things like this tinfoil beanie or shirts that are going to be limited time. I'm going to shake up the website in the near future, but let me go ahead and get to the super chats that I didn't get to earlier today, so we can kind of read those off. I always feel like it's okay. There it is. So I'll go back. We had a pretty good active chat today. So the first super chat from Earthworm Jim says, just want to give you a thumbs up like my avatar, Earthworm Jim, on the content while I was away on vacation last week. Had a blast at Houston, Texas for a convention, and your let me try. There you go. And for a convention, and your content kept me entertained during downtime. Really appreciate that. I'm glad that I could accompany you. Like, I knew people that like to listen to the show while on road trips. Or the one guy that was a trucker last time said, he listens to the podcast in the background when it's a live stream. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Earthworm Jim. Supreme Box saying, yo, it's my favorite math Asian. It's my favorite Canadian donator. So appreciate that. Thank you. Half-Breed Observer says, wow, dude, you didn't tell me you have 500 peeps show up. Yeah, we were doing pretty good recently on live streams. We get around 2,000 to 2,500 people watching live concurrently, which is an amazing thing, because I remember back in the day when I would do, at my old job, conference calls for 30 people, and I'd be nervous having a conference call, but it was this is 30 people that I never fucking cared about anybody at that job. I actually kind of despised most of them, so it's a conference call of 25 people that I thought were fucking losers is nothing compared to 2,500 people that are actually really cool and involved in the chat. So it's it's good to see it evolved this way. So appreciate you, Half-Breed Observer. Also, Lurker1 saying thank you. Appreciate that. Zamins, I read that. Thank you, Sean and Zamins, for the super huge super chats. Also, Mike Productions saying Metallica donated $300,000 for Hawaii relief. That's amazing, but our government doing the bare minimum is just sad. Also, F yeah, Metallica. Yeah, I really appreciate when people go out there and donate because they see a good cause, and that's a great thing. Anthony Kepler saying hi, mom. What's up, Anthony Kepler's mom? Random Gaming in Full HD saying wanted to drop by and tell you are a little batch. Okay. I'm glad that you gave me, what is this, Huff tea, a lower currency. So they paid $2 USDs to tell me I'm a batch. Oh, great. Thank you, Tyler, saying, use this to get out of California, my guy. Come down to the South. Yeah, with the housing market being what it is right now, trying to, but I mean, the channel's doing great. Once it's doing better, I feel like at some point in time, you will see the background change drastically. I mean, we just did the brand deal, the read today. It's a good company, but the idea is I try not to inundate you guys with too many ads in front of your face like every single day. I'm endorsing something new. I try to keep them a little bit few and far between, but I mean, hopefully I can raise enough to get out of what this liberal hellhole has become. Thank you, Random Gaming in Full HD again, saying, oh, he donated twice to say that. Great. Thank you, Stud Muffin, saying, thank you for the amazing videos, sir. Thank you for the super chat. Billy Badass says, hey, Decoy, are you aware what happened to the Nigerian who disrespected Japan? He finally got ran out of the country by the Yakuza. Yeah, I understand that, but also he's just... I think his time in the sun is done, and he's falling into obscurity, and it's good just like him being irrelevant online. The guy that was walking into people's homes in the UK, he's kind of fallen into obscurity, and I think it's good to address people doing unemployed behavior, calling them out for their nonsense, but not giving them the continuous attention that they so desperately seek, because, I mean, some of these guys even admit when they get bad press from somebody like me, they still enjoy it as it's free promotion for their channel, but I mean, yeah, we talked about it. We kind of shamed them online because they were doing bad stuff. We did our commentary. I let it die. But thank you for the super chat, Billy Badass. Nate's meme saying, Biden want Maui aid to get diverted to Kraken. I mean, it doesn't... No matter what, we're sending more money over there. Like, I forgot what politician was saying. They're tying up Florida aid with Ukraine aid. Like, the bill will be something like, the Green Initiative, but it also will give $100 million to Zelensky. Like, that's just how our government works. It's sad. Thank you, Christmas Prancer, for the super chat saying, bro, I actually want to go to Maui myself and help myself, not gonna lie. I mean, if you can do it, you can afford it, and you got the time, more power to you, because they need it right now. And apparently they need it by, like, CEDU, which is insane. Thank you, Nate's meme, saying, when we going to bend these globalist elites and push their something for freedom, asking for a friend, it's only this if you lose, make 76 great again. I mean, people are getting fed up, and what's crazy to me is, over in Canada, it almost seems like Trudeau can't make public appearances anymore without getting booed, because all the terrible things he's done to, like, his own farmers, his own citizens, like anybody that just doesn't want to get in line with the, World Economic Forum agenda, despise him. And it's like, yeah, more politicians won't be able to walk in public anymore because just how unpopular they are. Thank you, AJ Funari, saying, remember, Tulsi Gabbard on the World Economic Forum, YGL, and Brandon. I don't know what YGL is, but I know that certain politicians say they're on the World Economic Forum website, but they don't know why they're on there. Like, I think that Dan Crenshaw, who I'm not a big fan of, but the idea is Dan Crenshaw went out there and said, yeah, they use my picture. I think it was him. Maybe it wasn't him. But one of the politicians saying, my picture's on their website, but I don't care. Like, I don't care. I have no affiliation with them. Like, how easy would it be for the World Economic Forum to say, Decoy Voice, he's a bad guy. We need to take away his legitimacy. So let's post him on the front page of the World Economic Forum saying, key contributor and misinformation, or key contributor and influencer Decoy Voice works for the World Economic Forum. Like, I couldn't stop them from not using my image. Like, I'm sure you could try to use a lawsuit in whatever country they're based out of. But the idea that, maybe the picture's on there, but until I see her parroting what their ideas are, then I'll hold that against her. A. Warren Johnson says, you are doing the Lin Kuei's work. Thank you for your lighthearted commentary and critical thinking. We need more of it in the world. Appreciate the super chat. And yes, maybe I will learn some kung fu moves at some point in time instead of this mini bat. I don't know. I'm a fidgeter. FU, thank you for the huge super chat. And Jack JSM saying thank you with a bowing pair. Appreciate that. By Deity for the super chat. Seth Blader saying the movie Geostorm had a scenario like this. And how crazy is it that there's so many films that went out there and predicted, like, the COVID pandemic. There's so many films out there that predicted, what was the thing that was almost dead on? V for Vendetta was basically predicting it shot for shot, and Geostorm predicting the scenario like this. Like, I mean, it's sad how dead on they are. Scary, actually. Jonathan Devonger saying, very well timed. The elites get OFP and high-end stakes. We get inner cities and bugs. Also, Ukraine may have used chemical weapons on Russia. Fun times. And that's what's terrifying to me is Russia isn't our military. They don't have the same rules of engagement that we do. Yes, we commit war crimes overseas, but a country that has put their backs against the wall, someone that knows that they will perish or their families will be, they will suffer a terrible fate if they lose this conflict over in Ukraine. If they do desperation tactics over there, like guerrilla warfare, and do horrendous things to Russian soldiers invading their country, and Russia doesn't like that, they're going to hold us responsible for potential war crimes committed by Ukraine, or even NATO at this point in time. I think that that is a terrifying thing to say if all bets are off and, all like rules of engagement get peeled back because we are in a, fight to the death type of global conflict. I'm terrified of what the consequences will be for everybody in the world, namely me because I'm selfish, but the idea that this is scary times. So thank you, Jonathan. Also, Mike Production saying, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ukraine isn't our ally, right? They're not NATO, I know that, but I mean, they never had our backs after 9/11, I believe. I don't know what their stance was after 9/11, but I do know that they're not a NATO nation, but the idea that they're one of the only nations that employed a certain president's son and paid him a high premium salary that he did not deserve, despite the fact not speaking the language, never working in that field before, but just giving them access to the big guy. That's the only country that has that access has that influence over our president. So maybe that's why they get this special treatment. I don't know. Thank you, Muff Waggy B, saying too bad Hawaii doesn't launder money for Biden. Tragic that that's even an idea, but I mean I don't disagree. Nate's meme says stolen elections have consequences. Somebody for prison. Mac Wally says, Hawaiian governor, to receive assistance to provide exact name, exact address, and exact way to contact you about buying all your derelict property. Thanks. I mean, they want to get a head count somehow, and maybe dangling this $700 cash is away because, remember, they all wanted us to get this certain medication, but they put it behind this paywall. And not a paywall. That's not the right way to phrase it. But they say they wanted to give you this medication, or they wanted you to be able to collect your salary as your active military, but you have to do this thing for us first. It's ridiculous how they can't say, you know what, we want to help Americans, so here's money. We want to help Americans, so we're not going to have you pay taxes for a while. No, all of it has to be framed in a way that benefits them first. Then you get your part of it. It's awful. Thank you, Hello Boy for Life, saying pretty soon they'll indict Trump for pulling off the My Pillow tag. I mean, I think that's when they find the actual direct payment from the Chinese government into Joe Biden's pocket. Then they're going to indict Trump for pulling off the mattress tag with all the warnings on it. That's when they're going to go after him. Nate's meme says, can't trust DeSantis. He's in bed with Rhino Cheney. Yeah, I mean, DeSantis has really started off as this, this brash Republican governor that, used to be in the military, seemed to have a good hold on what Americans wanted, the basic, the Florida families wanted for their children, seemed really good, but the more he runs for president, the more he seems like any other rhino, which is just sad because, like I said before, I wholeheartedly believe DeSantis would have been the guy in 2028. He just had to wait for Donald Trump to do his thing, win or lose. But now, since he jumped the line, he probably ruined that opportunity. Thank you, B Young, for the Shiba Inu waving. Appreciate that super sticker. Chris Pinkerton says, Trump is the only one. Even liked RFK Jr., but he came out supporting abortion all the way to 9 months. That evil Vivek, good VP, maybe 2028. Yeah, I could see Vivek being either vice president or a member of Donald Trump's cabinet and being in line for president in 2028. I could see that. And then RFK Jr. I think he's a gun grabber as well, which I'm not as a big a fan of that. But the idea that RFK is probably the more in line with what most traditional liberals want in this country, more than Biden, more than a Harris, more than a even Bernie, or more than a Gavin Newsom or a Pete Buttigieg. They want an RFK Jr., but apparently you can't even talk about him on YouTube sometimes. It's crazy. Thank you, SG2634, saying, for the newbies, what is going on? I wish I knew when you dropped that chat because we talked about so many issues already. But thank you for the super chat. Bite Deity says, teleporting meth technology. So that was I think about what the what that light beam across the sky was. That was the answer to that, so I appreciate that. And then also to the other super chat, Frog Club Brother Shogo saying, I live on Oahu as a graphic designer. The company I work for lost their flagship store in Lahaina, which accounted for 50% of my royalties from sales. I feel sorry, man, that sucks. That, like, a lot of what's happening over there isn't seen on the surface, and that's just gonna happen continuously. So hopefully you guys can recover. Keith Bahan says, I am commander for the space laser. Okay. Bite Didi says Huff FT. Hungarian forint. So he's a Hungarian person that apparently doesn't like Decoy Voice, but is willing to pay. So paid money that Decoy Voice doesn't. He doesn't like Decoy Voice so much that he's willing to give Decoy Voice money to let him know that he doesn't like Decoy Voice. Strange. Thank you for the super chat. Mar is saying, love your stuff, dude. Can I see your tats Sub-Zero? Yeah, I mean, it's just the fish, the tiger, and some flowers. I mean, I plan on expanding at some point in time, but who knows when. My tat guy's hard to get on his books. He's very in demand. He does great work. So I always wondered if he wanted me to shout him out on my channel, because I mean, not political at all, but I'm sure that a lot of you guys would want to see his work because he's amazing. Thank you, Hercules, for the super chat saying the amazing Lucas having a meltdown right now on YouTube. Who's the amazing Lucas? The amazing Lucas. Who's this guy? He's having a meltdown. 408,000 subscribers. He has no content. Is he deleting everything? I don't know who he is. Okay, so maybe I'll check him out after. Appreciate that super chat. And I think that is it for now. So yeah, so kind of hang out here. Yes. See, Blunt Man and Chronic, the Hungarian. Mystique says with Trump as VP, yeah, I mean, if Trump wins 2024, how does that make him? Like, he's gonna go into his 80s at that point in time. I think he needs to ride off in the sunset, play some golf, just kind of hang out and relax, and like not do much. He's done enough as it is. Even as like a non-president, I think that he's he should be done. He should move on. Let's see. Captain Obvious says Decoy deserves a Jaylen Brown contract money. And here's the thing: is in case you aren't aware, Jaylen Brown, he's one of the better NBA players right now, but he also has like the highest NBA contract of all time. Like, he's making something like $30 million a year, which nobody's ever seen before. It's a kind of a weird NBA player association thing. But the idea that I don't agree with Jaylen Brown everything politically, but I still have a Jaylen Brown jersey. Like, I saw one at like a some outlet store, and it was a super sale, and I was like, okay, I like the Celtics, I'll buy the jersey, and like, you know, he's a good player, I appreciate what he does for the Celtics. But me and him, I obviously don't agree with everything Jaylen Brown says on a political level. But one of the first things he did when he got that big mega contract is pledge his money to help build a Black Wall Street in Boston, where he's going to be helping people of color create businesses. And that's the thing is, I may not like everything the BLM movement does, because I feel like they steal money from regular people to buy mansions, and they don't really do anything in the name of saving black lives. But the idea that Jaylen Brown's going to go out there and put his money where his mouth is. He's a very strong political activist. Like, he's of him and Jason Tatum, the two stars in the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown's a more outspoken person when it comes to social justice. But I mean, kudos to him for actually not being somebody like a BLM leader saying, "Oh, I'm going to take all your money and then just live in a mansion and buy an old church in Canada to go to I forget what they were doing with it." But just the idea that I think that those people are grifters, but good on Jaylen Brown for actually doing something for his community, because he actually means it. So kudos to him. Thank you for the super chat. Chris Pinkerton saying, this is one of the best channels out there. Always try to catch the live streams. It's hard because I'm 5 hours ahead, but it's worth it. Keep up the awesome work. So where are you? You're like in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? Like, what the heck? Or are you in the UK? Okay. Appreciate you being over here. I mean, what time is it over there right now? It's like 2 a.m. So appreciate the time and appreciate the super chat. I'm glad you are hanging out here. And that's the thing is, sometimes the live streams disappear, and that's just part of the game. I try to follow all the rules I can, but sometimes things happen. So, oh yeah, he's in Australia. That makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate you guys spending your time over here, because we used to do 2 live streams a week, but I think that was too much. And then seeing how many more videos I can do per week, because before it used to be like one or 2 videos a week, and now we're doing like 5 to 8 videos a week. So I think we're at a better part. I mean, the subscribership is reflecting that. We're at like 387,000 subscribers. So it's like, I used to have this play goal in my head of hitting 1 million subscribers by the end of the year, but I feel like we possibly could do it at this point in time. So I think that this is the strategy. I like doing live streams. I like having long form conversations with you guys, but I think this is probably the better way to do it. Thank you, Tim Taylor, for the super chat. And also, Drew Mouse says, dang, punching 500K will definitely happen. Yeah, it's 500K is just, I used to think will I ever have as many subscribers as Tim Pool? Will I ever be big like, these Ben Shapiro's? And I was just like, in my head wondering if like, this channel could make it. But I think that the way you guys are passionate about it, the way you're sharing the content and enjoying what we're doing, what I'm doing over here, because I'm just a team of one person, the idea that, yeah, we will get there. We'll get to 1 million. It's cool to have conversations where we have, 1,600 people in chat, and I can still kind of see everything you guys are saying for the most part. But I mean, once you get to that other number, then the chat just goes by. It's too hard to read. So I appreciate this is the time we're enjoying the process where we can still have a smaller community. So yes. Artichoke says, are you on any alt tech? I mirror on BitChute and Rumble. BitChute picks up the live streams, Rumble does not, I believe. Thank you. Australia is a not real, just ask a flat earther. I think we're 18 hours behind avocado time. Is 9:30 in the morning next day. Okay, so I'm kind of a cool morning drive time podcast for you, so I appreciate that. But I mean, I'm glad that a Australian saying Australia is not real is enjoying the channel. I'm glad that we have a global reach over here. But I saw over there. Yeah, William McComb says you're rooting for Decoy. I think that a lot of people want to see a regular thing. Like it's so bizarre that I see people, for the most part, when I do an ad read, they're like, cool, I'm glad Decoy's finally getting paid and he's actually being recognized by brands where they say they want to get in front of his audience. That's a cool thing. But some people are super angry saying, oh my God, can't believe Decoy Voice is a sellout. How come he doesn't continuously want to live in poverty despite dedicating all this time when he used to only get like 200 views per views per video? He would continuously do videos trying to break through the algorithm because he's not the approved narrative that they want to sponsor. How dare he go out there and try to make a little bit of money to make his life a little more enjoyable? How dare he? Like, I mean, it's sad. I always want to ask these brands out there, can my promo code be can my promo code not be, use my code Decoy or my code Decoy Voice? Like, I want my code to be, use promo code sellout to get 20% off your next sale. Like I think that would be hilarious. But I mean, they won't let me do it. It's sad. Yeah. Claudia Maximo says, the nerve. And Timothy Reed says, get your bag. And I think most of the people understand what this is. Like, you go out there. Do I absolutely need to? No, but I mean, that's just the name of the game. I think that Joe Rogan is a good person for the culture because he talks about stuff and he gets like, counter narratives out there. Does he do like 1 million ad reads? Of course. Did he take $100 million Spotify deal allegedly? Of course. Does that make him a bad guy? I don't think so. Let's see. Drew Mouse says, I was going to say something like not so short and concise, but didn't want to be taken wrong. I love you getting paid and didn't know how to be funny without saying it in person. I mean, that's the thing is, over here, a little bit more, I guess, like a thicker skin. Like, I don't care people making fun of me or saying things or whatever. I just don't want to read outright people hating on it or saying, like, negative things about, like, oh, how dare you be Asian? Like, that doesn't help anything. I appreciate the super chat. Sean2444 saying 10% more for the non-math Asian. Make that money, bro. Yeah, I appreciate that because I mean, it just is what it is. Bo says, what's your opinion on Glenn Youngkin? I remember that isn't he the Republican guy that he had the Democrat operatives going to his campaign to like pretend like they had the tiki torches. They tried to be white supremacists, but they had like a woman and a black man in the group. And it's like the Democrats really didn't have like 5 white guys that looked like white supremacists. They had to use a black dude to be the white supremacist that were supporting Glenn Youngkin. Like, I think that's the guy, but I don't know much more about him beyond that. Thank you for the super chat. Tejas Patil saying, love your vids, have binged them, all of them. It's 9 a.m. right now. Okay, wow, you guys are in a crazy part of the world, so I appreciate that, and I'm glad that the content is bingeable now, where you guys can sit there and just watch a lot of it back to back to back to back, where you can kind of pick and choose what it is, because the big complaint I get right now is, how come your videos aren't longer? How come your videos aren't longer? And I see everybody else in the field that has longer form videos where I can only try to be funny and rhyme and use alliteration and get these clips out there as fast as possible without making the video filler. And I see a lot of people that I appreciate their channels, but a lot of their channels are filler. So it's like, yeah, I think we've hit a good medium, even though you would like the videos to be longer. But if the videos were longer, they'd be lower quality, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not that talented, so the idea that I think that it's good that you guys can see this short video and watch the next one, watch the next one, watch the next one until you're tired of it, as opposed to saying, oh, how long is this guy going to talk about being at Occupy Wall Street? No offense to anybody, but just that's how I feel sometimes. Yeah. Quanon says, don't change for anybody, bro. Yeah, that's what it is. RNG Name says, isn't it 8 minutes for ads? And you saw for a brief period of time that I was trying to get to 8 minutes, and it's just like, you know what? Would it make me a lot more money? Of course it would. But the idea of, but then the videos are just kind of filler. Like, it doesn't make any sense for me to say the same joke in a different way. It doesn't make any sense for me to repeat what my point was later in the video. So it's just become a thing where it's like, yeah, once I've said what I said, the minute is the minute. I mean, I'm sure if the video was like 7 minutes and 55 seconds, I'll just make that last subscribe thing go for a little bit longer. It's not a big deal. But for the most part, I write my script, I write my jokes, I cut up the video, and however long it is, I just let it be, because I mean, I think it's more important to have a good quality content that was like a tight little 4 minutes of me just being kind of witty and talking about the topic, like a stand-up comedy segment, as opposed to saying, oh yes, this needs to be 15 minutes like a television show. I don't think that's a thing. Government Name, yeah, it says you write a script. Yeah, I write a script now. I mean, I feel like it's a tighter way to talk about the thing, as opposed to just me going off the cuff. Because when I used to go off the cuff, I had like very little viewership, and also it would go 15 to 25 minutes, and that's not as good. Yeah, maybe Sunshine says straight to the point commentary, which I think is the thing. Peapot says, do you want to be a comedian? No, I just want to do this channel. That's what this is. I think that in my old job, I was always joking around and being like, you know, not the funny guy necessarily, but just kind of like the dry humor person, where it's like I would call out all the nonsense happening in the world. And I remember I had lots of bosses at my old job that hated me, but a couple bosses that really enjoyed that I could do the job well, and they would tell me that you need to shut the fuck up. Like, they would tell me, like, on conference calls or on like these meetings where all the bosses get together, stop saying things, even if they're true, even if they would help us. They don't like it. They want you to be a yes man. But I would always just have like witty responses to their bullshit, and then it's a thing of like, yeah, let me just use my same talents and abilities to just call bullshit on this channel. And I think the best way to go about it is just jokes. Like, what we see is very rough. I won't joke on a video showing the death and destruction in Hawaii, but all this other terrible stuff, let's joke about it, because it is hard for me to go on Twitter or X or Instagram and just essentially doom scroll, seeing all these terrible things happening in our country and everything bad being there, and actually affects my mental state. I'm like, wow, the world's really terrible, when it's not really. So I try to do these videos about harsh topics, but in a funny way, so we can be lighthearted and concise and move on about our life and do stupid stuff like watch NBA basketball or baseball, or watch anime or something. Like, life isn't just arguing about politics, so hopefully this is just the fashion that we all want to talk about it. Thank you, Ace Thunder, for the super chat, saying the duration of your videos make them easily shareable and not bore the person who doesn't know your content. And I believe that's one thing that it would help this channel get to 1 million, get to 5 million, get to 10 million, where it's, if I wanted to share something that Brett Cooper did, or Tim Pool talks about something that a lot of people should know about, a lot of those people aren't going to get through the first 30 seconds of what they do, because it just kind of slogs along and doesn't really get to it. My videos is like, hey, once you click the thumbnail, it's talking about the topic. Around 1 minute, I start to share my opinion, but then we get right back in the topic. And then after that, I start doing a little bit of stand-up about it, joking about it, maybe self-deprecating humor, and then we talk about the next thing. Like, that's just how the videos go, and I feel like that's the best flow for the TikTok attention span generation. Yeah, Division Agent saying anime, yes. Ron H saying Decoy the Razor, okay. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, maybe Sunshine saying reach for the stars, and yeah, 1 million's on the way. So we've gone for almost 2 hours now. So Pika Man says, do you watch the NFL? Yeah, I do. I liked you guys may hate me, but I like Tom Brady. Like, I think that it was amazing to see what I believe is the greatest person to play this sport ever, him being an old man, and that comeback against, I believe, was the Falcons, was the best football we've ever seen in our life. So yeah, I don't like the way the NFL got super woke, and I think the NFL's financial numbers reflected on that. So I mean, yeah, I enjoy the NFL, but K.A. Dale Wholesome says deflate the balls. I'm telling you right now, Deflategate was just to distract NFL viewers from the concussion stuff. All the TBI, traumatic brain injury, that concussion film with Will Smith. Everybody was talking about how bad football is for the youth and all these people. And what was it? The Chargers guy was no. Who was the Chargers guy that had a brain injury and then he shot himself in the chest to end himself, and he said, "Research my brain." Like that. Oh, I forget what his name was. Junior Seau. That was a big thing. So what could they do? What could they do to make you stop talking about traumatic brain injury? Yeah, the face of the NFL, Tom Brady, the amazing things he did. Let's say that he deflated some footballs to make him easier to catch. Ooh, that's the big scam. And it's like, yeah, maybe he did it, maybe he did, maybe he did it, maybe he didn't. But I just think that it was a distraction. Everything is. So yeah, yes. So we have a lot of Brady fans here. I feel like that's a thing. Guardian Cologne says Tom Brady simp. I mean, I think if anything, I'm a Shohei Ohtani fanboy, a little bit of Kevin Garnett fanboy, knowing wholeheartedly, like he lurks around Malibu and people see him running on the beach and stuff. I know wholeheartedly if I met Kevin Garnett in person, he'd probably say something mean to me. Like he seems like a pretty intense guy and I'm just like a regular dude. I understand you don't meet your heroes, but it's like, yeah, I think Tom Brady's cool, Garnett's cool, Ohtani's cool. Who am I? I think that's it, right? And that's the stuff. Oh yeah, the 80 for Grady, that 80 for Brady movie, I think is filled with a whole bunch of people. That movie is filled with a whole bunch of anti-American actresses that hate the country and wanted to capitalize on football. So I did not watch that movie. I think that was nuts. Alpaca Mega Pint says Kobe was cool. I was actually a big Shaquille O'Neal fan, even though I don't like his politics now. But I liked Shaq over Kobe. But I mean, what happened to Kobe and his family and all those people in the helicopter because, you know, it was nearby, it was a tragedy. Thank you, Nick, for this super chat saying, cheers for your content from an Aussie fan. I'm glad all these people in Australia are watching this channel right now. And apparently, if you saw the other video, I'm a fake Chinese Australian person, which I wish I could do an Australian accent. I remember, I'm going off too much on a tangent, but girls were talking about me in the way that I speak, like in front of my face. Very bizarre thing. And they said, oh my God, this is like in real life. Decoy, if you only had an Australian accent or a British accent, you would be so much more attractive. And I was like, why are you saying this to my face? Like, I can't change what my voice, like, what? Ridiculous. So yes, you guys are all over there in Australia getting a great voice. So yes. Appreciate you guys hanging out for as long as you have. I will see you next Monday, same time, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, aka avocado time, and then I'll release lots of videos throughout the week, so appreciate you guys hanging out right now. And also Peter Griffin for the huge super chat saying, I really enjoy your straight-to-the-point content. Thanks for bringing us the real truth. Thanks for hanging out as long as you did, and also the big super chat. So I will see you guys next Monday, and for now, duck off.